Hi, thanks for watching. Okay, let's take a deeper look at this jailhouse telephone call. Okay, there's something else that I noticed here. And also, I want to kind of correct a few mistakes I made in the first video. But the first thing that called my attention today as I was re-listening to this jailhouse video is it possible that Chad and Lori are admitting indirectly that they took care of Alex?
I mean, we only discussed the matter with the trouble once, and I thought we cut it off.
Are they admitting responsibility for, you know what I mean, for helping Alex not be alive? Okay, well, let's get into that. But before I do that, I just want to say, look, thanks for all the feedback. And I realized I made a couple of mistakes. First mistake, um, I suggested the FBI raided Chad's property because of this telephone call. Okay, they were already going to raid his property. Okay, the law enforcement did not analyze this telephone call until well after Chad's property was raided. I really think it was the raccoon text. I think that was one of the main things that led the FBI to look at Chad's property. But in any case, I still hold on to the interpretation that the main concern between Chad and Lori is what's in the soil and what could potentially be found in the backyard.
Well, then he should have said, hey, this is a 99% chance that we're going to have trouble with this soil. We didn't know when we dug in your backyard, we were going to find whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's all we were asking.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because Lori makes clear here that that was all she was asking. You know, that the only real question she had was related to her comments about what they're going to find in the soil or problems in the soil or what they're going to find digging in the backyard. So she makes it clear that was her main question. Okay. And then the other issue, which, you know, I don't have the final interpretation, but I still hold on to the idea that when they talk about this problem blossoming, this blossoming problem getting more complicated, going from 3% to 100%, I don't think that's just the fact that Lori's in jail. I think it's the fact that the case blew up. Okay. And I realize the case blew up months before this phone call. Okay. So, you know, but I think they're still going back and figuring out what went wrong. Why did this become a bigger problem? Okay. And I think they're talking about how things blew up months earlier. Okay. And so what they're going to do here is they're going to talk about a combination, okay? And I know combination has a religious significance, but I think they're kind of using that term broadly. So let's just hear what they have to say.
Well, I want to know why that is 100% instead of 3% chance of having a problem.
I think he was somewhat right in that. The other aspect was other people. It was a combination.
I know it was a combination. I'm not saying there were other problems, obviously. It's of the location.
Okay, so if you play that back, Lori gets her voice lower and she says, Lori gets her voice lower and she says, and then there are other problems. She says other problems like the location, okay? Or she says there is the other problem of the location.
I'm not saying there were other problems, obviously. It's of the location.
So I think what she's saying is, I think she said there are other problems, obviously, or there's another problem, obviously. I think she says the word obviously. So it's like another problem, obviously, of the location. Okay, that's very important. I think that's very important. Let's just keep hearing what they say about the combination.
But what I'm saying is that it's a combination of only, 5 problems.
I agree.
That was a big one.
It was a big one.
Okay, I realize people are going to disagree, and it's healthy for us to disagree. All of us could be wrong, okay, as we try to interpret this. But for now, okay, I'm not going to hang on to the religious definition of combination, okay? I think they're just talking about a combination of different people and problems, okay? And I think what they're saying when they say 5 problems, I think what they're trying to say is that in addition to the 4 dead bodies, okay, that's Charles, that's Tammy, that's Tylee and JJ. Okay, so you got the 2 kids and you got the 2 spouses. Okay, you got Charles and Tammy, you got Tylee and JJ. That's 4. I think they're confirming that the 5th problem is connected to the location of the burial site. Okay, the location of the burial site, and that is Alex. Alex is clearly the one individual who has all the information about the burial site. Okay, and so, you know, they're upset now. I mean, Alex is already dead, but they're upset because they're surprised how much the problem blossomed. Okay, and later we're going to see that Chad says they didn't take it lightly. They took it seriously, and he's going to admit they took efforts to cut it off, And I think that might be a confession that they did something, or they had something to do with Alex maybe not being alive. So let's just keep listening.
Well, I think we sensed that we shouldn't take it lightly, and I don't think we did. I mean, we only discussed the matter with the trouble once, and I thought we cut it off.
Okay, this is very serious. Okay, Chad starts getting very serious. This is the first place where he says he's taking things very seriously, and he's not giggling so much. Okay, he's taking things very seriously. He says he's taking it seriously, right? He didn't take it lightly. And he says he thought they discussed the matter with the trouble once. I think the trouble is Alex. Alex is the fifth problem. Alex is the access to the location. Okay. And he's dead, but I think they're still very concerned that things arose from this case blossoming out of proportion, maybe having to do with questions about Alex's death or comments that Melanie Gibb made around Alex dying and things he said near his death. Okay.
Well, I think we sensed that we shouldn't take it lightly, and I don't think we did. I mean, we only discussed the matter with the trouble once, and I thought we cut it off and did well, and now that problem is kind of causing its own trouble for itself.
Right.
For example, Melanie Gibb said Alex told her the kids would never be found. Okay, maybe that's just too much of a tip. Maybe Chad and Lori would prefer that Alex had never said anything to anybody. But I think they're suggesting that they took care of this problem after talking to the trouble once, after talking to Alex once.
That's all we were asking.
Well,
Could this potentially be good, or do we have to fill it with sand?
And finally, we have Lori here just being openly insecure. Okay, Lori doesn't trust any of this prophecy. She doesn't trust anything that Chad is saying. She doesn't even trust Alex beyond the grave. Okay, she is really concerned about the location, and she's concerned about the soil and what's going to be found in the backyard. And so she openly says right on the telephone, is that going to be okay? Or do we have to fill it with sand? Okay, now I don't know if that means putting a trailer over it. I don't know if that means putting a construction project, whatever, but she wants to do something to cover up those grave sites. Okay, and I think it's because the thing blew up around Alex, because Alex maybe said a little too much to Melanie, and the thing, and they thought they took care of Alex. Okay, so that's the other problem here. Are they admitting that they took care of Alex? Okay, I think this is pretty heavy evidence. I think I'm surprised that Chad has not been indicted in Arizona, to be honest, for Alex. But the autopsy, I mean, those medical examiners, I'm so frustrated with these autopsies, to be quite honest, because I think what they're suggesting here is they talked to Alex one time, okay, in a way that made it unequivocal that they wanted him gone. Okay, my interpretation of this, and this is where I'm just totally interpreting. I realize people can disagree, but my hunch on this, and I could be wrong, but I'm not afraid to try to be wrong. I'm not afraid to risk being wrong. Okay, my hunch here is that when they did the blessing on Alex, if you really listen to the blessing, they were just telling him, you need to get lost. You need to go start your project in another lifetime. You need to go start another probation. Okay, you've done a fantastic job here. We can never repay you, and we need you out of here. I think that's what they were saying. And I think Alex knew he had some time, and he would have to do whatever he would do to make it look natural, because if he made it look like a suicide, well then, geez, they're going to have more problems. So I'm sure Alex understood what he had to do. I'm sure he took his time, and I'm sure he found a point where he did what he had to do, and for whatever reason, he did it so well that even the medical examiner couldn't figure it out, but I think that may be what's going on here, and it is frustrating for me, because I think, when you look at, like, say, Melanie, the niece, Melanie, and when you look at Melanie Gibb and Zulema, I see a lot of collaboration. I see a lot of accessory, I see people that are just as guilty as the Crumbly parents in Michigan, or as, let's say, for example, when you look at Melanie, the niece, I don't think she's any less guilty than Wendy Adelson in Florida, if you guys want to look up that case. So anyway, just continuing with these interpretations. I realize I could be wrong, but I'm willing to risk being wrong. Okay, so appreciate your patience and thanks for watching.